Hi everyone, Good from Runchat here. In this video, we're going to cover a little bit more on the artifacts feature, this time using the code node to automatically generate um, data for writing blog posts about. So we use Notion quite a bit for doing task tracking, and I've just set up a little example database here. And something that we'd really like is to be able to automate sort of feature notes, change lists, and just little announcements every week about what we've been working on. Ideally, we could get a workflow to draft that for us, and then we could tweak it a little bit and publish it to the web. So for that to work in Runchat, what we're going to need to do is to connect to Notion somehow. I've already created a Notion integration, and there's plenty of videos on how to do that. And I've already connected my Notion integration with this little tasks database that I have set up here. Over in Runchat, let's now see if we can get the code node to write all of the code needed to connect to Notion, get all of our posts, get the page content, and we'll then be able to use that to draft up our artifact. So let's say, can you use the Notion API to get all page IDs in a database with a given ID? We're going to use Opus, and we're just going to hit play. So because Notion is a pretty popular app, the API is well documented, this is the kind of thing that Runchat is going to be really, really good at doing with Claude. So you can see that it's asked for two things here. So it's gone and written all of our code, and it said, look, you need a database ID property. Great, so let's add that in, and now we can parametrically set a database ID. This basically becomes a little tool that we can use over and over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and can copy that ID to my database and just plug it in there. The other thing that it said that we're going to need to do is to add a Notion API key. So I'm going to click on that, and it's saying, here's how you can get your API key. It's giving me a little tip. It's already added the secret, like the name that this code expects, and all we need to do now is paste in our API key. So I'm going to go over to manage my connections and find my integration. Or actually, it's just here. There we go. And we're going to copy that. Copy. Okay, paste it in. I'll be deleting that integration after this in case anybody wants to actually try and write to my database. Right, so we've added our secret and we've given it our database ID. Let's hit play now to actually run this code, and voila, it's worked first try. It's grabbed those page IDs. Now let's use the code node again to try and get the actual page content from those. So again, just going to make another code node. You could do all of this in one shot, in one code node if you wanted to, but it's kind of nice to break it up and just keep these specific tools separate. Like I might want to use this again and again to get pages from different databases. Sometimes I might want the content, sometimes I might not. So let's say use the Notion API to get a page with a given ID, get all of its content blocks and return them as Markdown. Okay, hit go. So now this node should know that we've already got our API key set. It's not going to ask for it again. It's going to write all the code, and it's going to give us an action that's saying, look, you need to add the page ID input. Great. I'll connect up my page ID. And something that's really nice about Runchat here is we've got 5 pages, and this node is, we don't have to worry about data structure or anything like that. It's just going to run our code 5 times in parallel, once for each page. Okay, it's saying reference error URL is not defined. That's probably because it's expecting a or using URL somewhere in our code. We don't want that. Don't get URL, just get the page content blocks and return them Markdown. And it's important here, like I'm never even looking at the code. We're just chatting away and outlining like any changes that we need to make and exactly what needs to happen. Okay, let's try running that. Cool. All right. That looks like it's gone and gotten our page content. Some of our posts don't have page content. They've just got titles. So let's include the title in our Markdown. And just hit chat on that. So hopefully what we end up with here is a bunch of Markdown files which have titles and the content that I've posted to those pages. Let's see. Yep, great. We've got the titles and we've got our page content. Perfect. Now we can draft our artifact, which is going to be our blog. So I'm going to create an agent node and we're going to feed in all of these results and I'm just going to smush it all together as one input. And I'm going to say, write a short blog post in Markdown format that covers what the features and tasks we've been working on this past week. And let's hit go. Nice. So it's talking about our Notion integration. I mean, I made some tasks here which were basically what I just set up for this video. So it looks like it's picked up on all of that and drafted it. So now let's make our artifact. So we're going to create an artifact. We'll call it weekly updates, plug in our content, and I'm not going to auto-publish it. We'll leave it as a draft. Cool, done. We can go to our artifacts page. There's our blog post with a draft. We can go and review this and make any changes that we need to, and then we can publish it. And as soon as it's published, it'll be public on the web. And there we go. So that workflow that we just made, what's really nice about that, if we open our workflow again, that's just a little warning because these code nodes are using your API key in the code, which just means that if you share this workflow with somebody else, they could potentially, well, actually, it just means you need to trust the source of the workflow that it's not doing anything nefarious with your API key, like sending it off somewhere other than the Notion API. So what we want to do now is, let's say that I wanted to just run this every week. So every week it's going to grab the latest posts. I probably need to change this slightly to grab just the latest ones instead of all of them, which is what this is doing, and then run it. Well, super, super easy. We're going to go to our workflows. This is the one that we just made. We're going to click on schedule job, say weekly, and that's it. Every week that workflow will now run, grab those posts from Notion, draft our content, publish it to our artifacts where we can review it, and then chuck it on the internet. So we're really, really excited about this use case. It's the kind of thing that anyone can build. You just chat away to connect to, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be Jira, could be Trello, any source of content where you're working. Could even be Google Docs or something like that potentially. And create little announcement posts like this. Definitely moves away from slop and just helps get what you're doing out there. If you need any help or have any ideas for improvements to the artifacts feature, just get in touch on Discord. Thanks.